Oscar BEVIS, IFL TV MTK Global, delighted to be joined by Mr. Stuart Scott, aka Stone Cold Steve Austin. How are you, mate?
Very well, thank you, Oscar. Yeah, nice nickname.
Well, the first interview that we done before, we just spoke about the state of training in the UK and that, and yeah, you were called Stone Cold. I think the top comment was, "Is that Stone Cold Steve Austin?"
There was a few on there. There was a few Stone Cold Steve Austins, a couple of Jason Stathams. I'll take that actually, to be fair, but yeah, I can see the resemblance. It's fair enough.
That's why he's wearing the hat today. Here to, I suppose, celebrate, if you can call Padwork celebrating, Raven Chapman's managerial deal and her journey towards the pros. She signed with Steffi, who obviously has guided and trained Terry Harper to the top. And I suppose when you look at it, is it a no-brainer, really? Yeah,
we spend a lot of time up with Steffi and with Terry when they spar, because Raven's been her chief sparring partner for the last couple of contests. And Steffi's a lovely guy. He really is. He's salt of the earth. He's, you know, what you see is what you get. He's a really nice, friendly guy. And Raven absolutely loves both of them. She loves being up there. She loves the sparring. She loves how they look after her. And they really do look after her well, you know. So when time came to sign, obviously Steffi was mega keen because, you know, Raven's a very, very talented girl. So it was a no-brainer, really. It was, you know, we had offers from a few other potential managers, but I think the relationship with Steffi's so good that it was just a no-brainer. It just had to be signed.
And you obviously see something in her that he likes, and you told me that people would pay to see the sparring between Raven and Terry. So yeah, I can imagine he's seen that and seen glimpses in the gym that makes him think, you know, the fact he's taking her on, he must feel like he can take her far. Yeah,
I think Terry would admit to you that a lot of her spars with Raven have actually been harder than some of her world title fights. And, you know, if you were privy to them, I mean, when we go up there, there's myself, Steffi, a couple of others in the room. You could hear a pin drop. I mean, it is just fantastic to watch. It really is. It's a great spar. You know, it's very give and take. It's ebb and flow. Neither of them want to go back. You know, it's a terrific thing to watch. And I think, like you say, that kind of made Steffi realise exactly how good she could be. It's made us all realise how good she can be, to be fair, because Terry's quality, you know, and if Raven's holding her own with her, especially, that's a weight class up as well, because we're going in at feather. So, yeah, it bodes well.
There is quite a disparity in female boxing as well between those at the bottom and those at the top. You only have to look at how perhaps people have had world title fights and not had what you'd call a middle fight. Yeah. Like, I know yesterday, because Josh Taylor was announced his four-belt unification with Ramirez, people were talking about online the way he's been match made up. So fought for the Commonwealth, then O'Hara, then an eliminator, and that journey. A lot of the females don't get that. So the way she's been spoken about and the company she's kept, are we looking at someone who, you know, it's only going to take a few fights before she's at the top?
Honestly, and this is me speaking absolutely truthful, there are world champions out there now in and around that kind of weight class that Raven would beat tomorrow. And I've never been more confident about anything when I say that thing. She is that good. She is class. You get that. She's been around GB for 3 years. She's boxed the best amateurs in the world. You know, she's top quality. You're right. There is a disparity. All I really need from Raven now, because skill set wise, she's fabulous. I just need to let her have an opportunity to learn the rounds. You know, obviously when you're used to boxing 3 rounds, all of a sudden dropping into 10 is too much to ask in your first fight. But give her 2 or 3 contests, give her a little bit of understanding how she puts the rounds together, just getting her to learn and understand how to pace those rounds. And honestly, there's world champions out there that she'd beat literally tomorrow. You know, she really is that good. She's a very, very, very good girl.
Well, she called out Heather Hardy. I say reluctantly. I think I sort of forced her into it. I told her to look down the camera and call her out. But yeah, she means business, so something there.
She stops Heather Hardy. She'll stop her.
Yeah.
Nothing more to say. She'll stop her. As I've said, there's levels to boxing. There's levels to everything. And whilst I totally respect everything that a lot of these girls have done, very few of them have seen anything quite like Raven. Very few of them would have fought anything quite like Raven. By the time she gets those pro wraps on and those little diddy gloves, because trust me, when I tell you, she can really hit. You know, she punches more like a man than a lot of men do. She's very busy. She creates lovely angles. She's not easy to hit. Honestly, actually, to be honest with you, Heather Hardy, I'd put her in with her tomorrow. I would.
Do you feel pressure because the way, and especially off camera, the way you've spoken about how you feel like she can take the game as perhaps as her own and be like a face of women's boxing, and the way she's been spoken about, you only have to look at the response to the tweet Steffi put out. Terry, Lisa Whiteside, Ramla Ali, some of the girls in the game and what they have seen in Raven. Do you feel pressure and responsibility because you're guiding a career that you will be disappointed if she doesn't make it to the top? So do you feel a bit of pressure there?
No, not exactly, because I know we do the right things. We're very studious in everything we do. You know, we're not leaving any stone uncovered. Of course, there's pressure because in high-level sport there is pressure. You know, there's pressure in everything. But I think Raven's one of those people as well who really, really thrives on the pressure. So I really think she does. You know, I think, you know, when the going gets tough, Raven really gets going. You know what I mean? I mean, I've seen it. Okay, so far we've only seen it in spars and amateur contests, but you'll all see it soon enough. Is that when, you know, it really gets tough in there, and when she really digs down and goes, she can really fight. She can really, really fight. She can box, she can move, she's technically very, very clever, but not only can she fight, she loves a fight as well. That's one of the hardest things to do, actually, is to stop her from going in there and just having a row, because she loves it. But that is going to excite people. I know it will excite people. And, you know, pressure's great, right? Because if your pressure's on, it means you're doing something right.
And just finally on Raven, is there a platform perhaps that she belongs on? We know there's a promotional company in this country who seem to be doing quite a lot for female boxing. She signed with Steffi. Steffi's got Terry. I'm perhaps hinting as much as I can without saying the word, but yeah, if you believe she's as good as you say, I imagine there's a platform that you feel she belongs on. Yeah,
Sky. Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn will look at her. Eddie Hearn will sign her. Eddie Hearn will understand after her first fight, and I will publicly go on record saying this, from fight one, she will be right in the public eye because she's exciting. She's not going to go out there and she's not going to look for a nice, safe points win, because she don't do that. She's going to go out there and she's going to put it on whoever debut opponent is lucky enough to be. And Eddie will want her because, you know, there's Terry is fantastic and she's a great ambassador. But, you know, outside of that, there's not that many names. You know, you look around the men's and everyone's got a different boxer who they emulate, a boxer who they love. You know, everyone's got a fan of someone, you know. You've got so many names. You don't really have that in the women's boxing. Obviously, you've got Terry, you've got Katie, obviously, who's massive. But for me, and I don't see any reason why it won't happen, Raven can be as big, if not bigger. Certainly in England, because obviously, you know, Katie's Irish. Certainly in England, like, we need someone to get behind, and there's no reason at all why she can't be as big as Terry, can't be as big as Katie. It's there for her. She's exciting, mate. When you watch her, you will understand that she really will stick arses on seats, and she will make a lot of the boys who don't necessarily want to admit they enjoy women's boxing, because she really is. She's all action.
I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to all happen in a gym that's close to my house, so I'm quite excited about that as well. Omar, what's he doing now? So I thought he'd just be overlooking and watching and listening to this interview, but yeah, frustrating time. When I come before, he was saying he had a bit of a gap between fight one and fight two. Didn't really want that again, and now he's had the pandemic. So I suppose a bit of a ball ache being in the gym with someone who you know wants an opportunity so bad but can't get one, and you have to keep them going and keep them going.
We've used the time wisely. I've done my best to just tweak Hammer's style a little bit. We made him a little bit more aggressive. We've made him a little bit less counterpunchery and a little bit more proactive. And he's a nightmare now when we you know, okay, it's only sparring so far. We can't take too much out of what happens in sparring because it is just sparring, but he's way busier than what he's ever been before. He's hitting very, very, very hard. And, you know, I've seen him have spars recently where he's just decimated people. He's, you know, he is up there as well. I'm telling you that the British super welters have got to be wary and looking out for this kid. I know he's only 2-0 at the moment, and I know that, you know, there's a long way to go before we can start calling the big names out. But in time, he's up there. He's up there. And you know what it's like in this country. If you win British, puts you at sort of fringe world level these days. Certainly in a really packed division. Well, the packed division like super welter as well. You know, when you've got your Fowlers, your Fitzgeralds, your Cheesemans, and so on and so forth. I mean, all these guys are fringe world level. So if you're beating these kids, what's to say you can't go on and beat the best in the world? And you know, as much as yes, lockdown's been very frustrating and it's not been conducive to Emma's career. I think the time that we've had to work and the time that we've had to just tweak certain things, I think in the long run may actually have done us a bit of a favour, if truth be told. Because you don't often get that time, you know, when you're fighting all the time, you know, you don't really want to change things, especially if you're winning. But because we've had this opportunity to sit back and relax a little, we've just tweaked things, and people will see the difference. People will see he's a lot more aggressive than he was before, and you'll see his punching power because he'll be stopping kids definitely.
And other than calling out Jake Paul, you got your vaccines ready to go to Pakistan and beat the Pakistan champion? Because I know that's something that's in his sights, and we're gonna do an interview after and talk about this. But he's gonna have to search opportunities. That's basically that's a be on end, or he's going to have to search for these opportunities. Yeah,
small hall boxing at the moment, no one knows when it's going to come back. You know, is hopefully, obviously, it's sooner rather than later. But who knows what kind of limitations they're going to put on crowd and this, that, and the other. And if they do that, it's either going to be very expensive to go and watch boxing, or there just won't be any. So yeah, he's got to look for opportunities. Obviously, he's dual nationality, so he's allowed to box for the Pakistani title. And I've seen the kid who would end up boxing.
He'd beat him.
He would basically hold the Pakistani equivalent of the British inside 2 or 3 rounds for me. The guy, good credit to him, respect, he's unbeaten, he's 8-0, but he ain't on Emma's level. It's just not. That simple. He's just not on his level.
That'd be a trinket to add to the wall, wouldn't it? The Pakistani belt.
It'd be wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it's why not? Why not go about it? It's a legitimate title. It's a national title. It's and it's a big deal if he come back with that. You get that on the bargaining table. You get it on. There's a lot of things I like about it. There really is.
Well, it's a bit of a different opportunity, which is why I had to ask about it, because it makes it so interesting. But fingers crossed something happens for Amar. We spoke a lot about, and you spoke about your admiration for Adam Booth last time. I just want to take it back a week or so to Kelly Avanesian. Now, a tough week, I suppose, for Adam, and really a tough couple of years for Josh as well. But things didn't go his way that night. Can I just get your thoughts on the thing as a whole? So I suppose starting beforehand on what you thought was going to happen when Josh stepped in the ring with David.
I thought Josh would beat him on points, to be honest with you. We've seen him spar a lot, and he was lovely and sharp. I mean, he proved that, didn't he? First 4 or 5 rounds. What I didn't really envisage happening, and I think he engaged him a little bit too much to start with, and it was the body work. It was, if you watch the fight back, whilst Avanesian wasn't landing much, what he was landing was lots and lots and lots of heavy-looking shots to the body, and we all know that you chop the tree down from the bottom, don't you? And I just think it puffed him out a little bit. I thought he looked electric. I thought he looked so good. He had that lovely sort of Adam Booth style, that raid, go in, and he definitely hurt him. I thought, was it round 1, round 2, that left hook? He definitely hurt him. But if you watch it back, the body work that David put in was really clever, and I just think it took his legs. It does. You whack the body often enough, and it tires you out. That's what it does. It's what it's designed to do. And I just think that body attack was really clever. It was really calculated. I think it was a really good game plan from Cole Greaves. I think they knew that they'd have to ship 4 or 5 rounds. But if you keep working the body at the same time, you can take the steam out of the opponent, and I just think that's what happened. I really do. I think it was body work that he succumbed to, and a lot of that's experience. I think maybe staying in the pocket a little bit too long, allowing those shots to land, not really getting the elbows down enough, being a little bit too keen to land his work and not really focusing on what was coming back. So defensively, I think he could have done a little less offensively in order to give him more legs for the later rounds. But either way, I still thought he boxed lovely. I think he showed what he could be. But I think he just got done by a more experienced, very, very tough kid, let's be honest. He took some punishment in that fight. It really was. It was a good performance. And I didn't see it coming, but it was a good performance. Fair play to him. What can you say? It's boxing, isn't it?
Yeah, no shame for Josh at all in stepping up, a massive step up in levels, because David is a world level fighter. So no shame in that at all. I just want to ask you about this actually, because a lot of people, and we see it a lot, if someone looks a little bit big at the weight, as soon as they take a defeat, it's almost, well, they've got to move up now, they have to move up. Is that something you see in Josh, or is it just that narrative that you throw out after a loss perhaps a little bit too often?
Again, I've made it incredibly clear before to you how much I respect Adam Booth. Adam Booth don't get things wrong a lot, does he? You know what I mean? So if Adam Booth thinks he's a welterweight, he's a welterweight, let's be honest. But he's a big welterweight. He's a big boy, and he must have to boil some. So if then people do sit in and work the body a lot, if you have had any kind of issues making the weight, then it's going to catch up with you, and it usually catches up with you after the halfway point, doesn't it? You know what I mean? If you haven't quite made the weight right, you know, you can look electric for 5-6 rounds, and then all of a sudden the tank just, and maybe it is, maybe he does have to move up. But like I say, knowing Adam the way that I know Adam and the way that he prepares, and I mean, it's diligent. I just don't think they'd have done it if he was that tight at the weight, you know. And don't forget, he had 2 camps before where he was more or less making the weight anyway. They'd have known, you know what I mean. If he was tight on the weight, they had plenty of prep for this. Let's be honest. So I think it was more. I think it was more the body attack that took it away from him, as opposed to making the weight. Probably the weight may have not helped. Don't know.
And just from a coach's perspective, it's been an interesting return to boxing, and I suppose before Christmas as well, because we had that BT doubleheader with Joyce and Dubois, where a lot was spoken about the tactics and perhaps the lack of tactics, some people say. We had it the weekend after with Yard and Arthur. And then we rolled into the new year, and then we had the corner questions perhaps surrounding Josh Warrington, and then Adam Booth threw the towel. And so from a trainer, there's so much that's gone on that you can look at. It's been, trainers have come under scrutiny, had some positives and negatives. It's been a pretty mad time for trainers, isn't it?
It's been bonkers, yeah. You know, I like to not have to get too involved, to be honest. I go out there, do your job, win and come back. But things like that happen in pro boxing, you know, like you look at the Josh Warrington contest, you know, it would have been so easy for his dad to have thrown a towel in after that round 4, you know. Personally, I think I'd have let him have round 5, but from my personal perspective, looking at the way that his feet were moving and looking at the way that he was generally moving after that round 4, I think I'd have probably pulled him out personally. You know, I made it pretty clear online, if you come back after a round like that and your legs are not working the following round, I ain't going to let you take that punishment. I'm not going to let you, you know, because he took some, let's be honest, I mean, it's almost life-changing beating to a degree. You know, certainly it could be a career-changing beating. And I know he's a tough, brave kid, but tough, brave kids sometimes need looking after. And I'm a bit amazed the ref didn't stop it, in all honesty, because he was gone.
Would he have stopped it in reverse? This is what a lot of people said. He would have stopped it in reverse if Lara was in Josh's situation.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. If Lara has taken those shots, that is stopped 100%. There is no doubt about it. And listen, he is all right. The belt wasn't on the line, but he is a champion. You have to give your champion every chance. I get that, but he was hurt. He was really hurt. That was it was pretty uncomfortable viewing, truth be told. I didn't like it particularly. I would have pulled my fighter 100%.
Well, we rolled into a week where then Adam threw the towel in, and I think at the time, even I thought, was that premature? But then you look at Josh after and you think, actually, you know, and Adam knows his fighter, who am I to comment? But I thought at the time, hold on. But then you look at Josh after, and so I don't know, we've seen two different sides of the coin there, I suppose.
Yeah, it was a compassionate stoppage. You know, Adam knows his man, and at that point, if you look at the way the fight was going, it had reversed 100%. You know, it was all Josh, it was all Josh, it was all Josh, and then it was, you know, David was coming on very, very, very strong, and it was a slightly compassionate stoppage. But what's wrong with a compassionate stoppage? You know your fighter, you know from what they say to you in the corner, you know, if he's feeling very, very tired and it's only halfway, what's the point in doing another couple of rounds? I mean, you might look for second win maybe, but he was shipping some pretty big punishment by that point. And, you know, you live to fight another day, don't you? You know, but none of us really know either. You know, did Josh have a cold on the day? You know, was he feeling a little bit run down before? Had the fact that it was a bubble fight maybe rinsed his energy levels out, because that can, you know, no one knows how they're going to react in a bubble, do they, until they're actually in there. So there could be a whole host of questions. And if Adam was privy to the fact that he was feeling a little bit wary, you know, before the fight even, round 6, are you going to get a second wind? Doubtful. So I think it was a compassionate stoppage. I think it was about the right time.
Mate, I can tell you from being in a bubble, it's intense, and all I do is run around with a camera, so I can't imagine what it's like for the fighters. Yeah.
Totally different to anything you're ever used to. You know, it's and I can imagine it would be draining. Although, you know, on the flip side of that, you do have to say that David went through exactly the same thing as well. You know, he was in the bubble as well, probably for the first time. Maybe he dealt with it slightly better. Different characters do, I'm sure.
All right, Stuart, thanks for jumping on with me again and having me down today. And I'm sure it will be very soon, perhaps. Well, hopefully next time speak to it should be around Raven's debut, unless something's gone dramatically wrong, which I hope not.
No, yeah, Raven's debut. I think we're looking hopefully for June, sometime around then. Hopefully with Eddie. You know the score, Eddie. You can make it happen, dear boy. You can make it happen.
Fight camp with a twist as well, I think June's meant to be, or something along those lines. So it could be a special show as well.
Well, let's be honest, you know, throughout the whole pandemic, throughout everything, Eddie has been absolutely superb. You know, there's not a person out there that I speak to that doesn't think he has done a brilliant job. He really has. He's done, you know, he's gone above and beyond. And if it has to be fight camp, if it has to be with limited crowds, if whatever it has to be, he makes it a spectacle. He makes it a show. He makes it worth watching. And then when you've got a fighter as good as Raven on there, who will excite people as much as I know she will, then can't fail to be a good one, can it? That's what it has to be.